I'm wondering, how did you align your new work with your personal values?
So, one of my biggest values is authenticity. And like you with the working world, I really value being authentic and sharing about my personal and professional life with people. I like having friends in work. I like having friends I can bounce ideas off of. And for me, I think the shift was with my blog. I knew that I was doing something that was authentic to me. This is my brand. This is not anybody else's brand. And I know for me with entrepreneurship, and I know everybody's different, I wasn't super interested in working on a goal that was somebody else's dream.
Mm.
I wanted to work on my dream.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Naked Truth with Lauren Season 2. Welcome back if you're a Season 1 listener, and welcome for the first time if you're tuning in for the first time. We are going to be talking all about the messy realities of navigating your 20s this season, and I am promising you real, stripped down conversations about work, friendship, dating, self-worth, and the growing pains that no one warns you about at this age. Hopefully, you will feel a little less alone after listening. I'm your host, Lauren, a 29-year-old professional living in DC, passionate about creating spaces for open conversations and building genuine community. And I am so glad you're here. Thank you so much to our Season 2 podcast sponsors, Kelly Miller, Marika and Batman Pierce, Pauline Shu, and Jenny Porter. I couldn't do this without you. If you're currently working a 9 to 5 and find yourself daydreaming about a different life, this episode is for you. Katie Thompson was a government consultant who seemed to have it all on paper, but internally she was facing a major quarter-life crisis. After a solo trip to Ireland and some transformative leadership coaching, she realized she couldn't ignore her creative side anymore. In January of this year, she officially took the leap to run her blog, The Pink Chickadee, and her soon-to-be community, DC Preppies, full-time. We met through the DC Influence, which is an awesome community of local creators. Today, we're stripping down the glamour of quitting your job to talk about the actual logistics, fears, and the freedom that comes with starting over in your 20s. Welcome to the podcast, Katie.
Hello, it is amazing to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited you're here. I love your story, and I think the audience is going to learn a lot from it. Okay, let's start at a high level. What's been your high and low of the week so far?
So, I think my high of the week is getting invited to more creator events locally in the DC area. I attended two this past week to kick off the week, and that's been really fun and exciting. I think my low for the week is, as any entrepreneur will face, especially women starting over in her 20s, is you're always tired.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exhausting sometimes.
Mhm.
Okay, I want to get more into your career journey because I think it's fascinating.
Mhm.
And that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yes.
So, I want to start off by asking you, what was the specific moment where you realized that your previous 9 to 5 was no longer sustainable for your mental health?
Okay. This is a really big one because it was actually kind of like a serendipity of when I decided to take the leap. It was like the next day I got a big sign that I need to do this. It was the day before Halloween, ironically, and Halloween that I made the decision, which is so ironic. But I literally just had a breakdown in the middle of
Mm.
the workday. And it just was like constant breakdown after breakdown. I have a best friend who's Shivani. Shout out to her. She is incredible. And she has been just such a pivotal part of my journey and support. And I just had a breakdown. And then the next day, literally Halloween, there were some changes to staffing. And I had until February. And I just realized I can't do this anymore. And I hopped on a delayed flight to Charlotte to visit some friends, realizing, holy crap, I'm doing this. My contract that I was supporting was only going to keep me afloat until February as a government consultant. So the end date was sometime in February. And after that, I had to find something new. And I just realized I could not keep going. After my breakdown the previous day, I'm like, this is not sustainable. This isn't going to keep me going. I'm just going to feel worse and worse and worse. And I was even like I had a psychiatrist, I still do, fully
Mhm.
support getting therapy,
I
going
love
to
that.
see just any mental health support you need. It is health and wealth.
Mhm.
And my psychiatrist was like, "You gotta get out of there."
Oh, wow. That's
Like
huge.
3
That's
weeks,
telling.
like a week before.
Whoa. Okay, so a week before your psychiatrist was like, "Based on your mental health, you gotta leave this
Yeah.
job."
Yep.
And then, a week later, you got told that your contract was ending in February.
Mhm.
And so that was the sign that you were like, "I'm gonna take the leap."
Yep. Like, now's the time.
That's awesome. That's a really,
Mhm.
distinct, clear
Mhm.
sign, I feel like, from the universe,
Yep.
and I also
Yep.
believe in signs
Mhm.
from the universe, and I think that it's kinda like a way of taking your authority or
Mhm.
decision-making power back. You were gonna be laid off, but you were like, "Actually, no, I'm quitting,"
Mhm.
right? Like, you quit before
Mhm.
you were laid off.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for sharing so openly. I appreciate it, and I've
Yeah.
definitely been in a similar situation, so you're
Mhm.
not alone in that. Could you, I guess, talk a little bit more about the reasons or the feelings behind the breakdown?
Honestly, a lot of burnout. It was like the wheel of burnout was getting faster and faster. Like the hamster wheel, it goes faster and faster each time. And I do
Mm,
think it's normal when you're working or you have a busy season, you burn out and you need those self care strategies and ways to kind of cool down. Like, especially if you had a busy week, maybe I'm going to have a relaxing weekend. It was just like everything I did. If I went on vacation, a week later, I'd be burned out. It would just keep coming and coming and coming. And the burnout was a big sign to me that I just can't do this anymore. And it would just be like, I'd need to sleep. I'd feel a lot of stress all the time. And a lot of that, I firmly believe, is just the misalignment.
mm. The misalignment between what?
My current job and what I want to go after, and what my actual goals were. Another big thing for me was I realized at my current role in government contracting that I didn't have any goals anymore at that job. I knew I had overdone my time.
That's also huge. It's a big sign. Thank you for sharing. So
Mhm.
you've spoken about having a quarter century crisis, is what
Mhm.
you said. Is this that? Can you elaborate on that?
So when I started in government contracting, it was kind of crazy because it was 2021. It was right when things were kind of slowly opening up again. It was my first job out of college. And I do wanna say that I'm really grateful for the people who helped get me in the door, and for the people at that role who served as mentors for me and as colleagues. Many of them are very incredible people, and I'm very blessed that I was able to walk along that part of my journey in life with them. So I just want to throw that out there that there were some very incredible people there. And I just jumped right in head first and just really tried to get involved. I even co-led a community of practice. I went to networking events and I posted so much on LinkedIn. It was crazy. And I had all these goals. And then right around the end of 2023, my body just crashed.
Oh, wow.
My body just crashed. And I don't even know why. Like, I just didn't feel motivated. I was always blogging on the side.
Mm,
I had started that before I ended up in corporate. And I always continued that, and then a few months later, I went to Ireland on a solo trip. I just realized in that moment, there's more to life than showing up to a 9 to 5, doing a job, and then going home, and that there was so much more I wanted to do, and I think I knew deep down, even as I was going through, that there was more that I wanted to do in my career. I think I always knew even from the get-go that this isn't right, this isn't my long-term goal,
mm.
but everything on paper looks so perfect. So it was that conflicting energy for a while of like, everything looks so perfect. Everything looks great. It's perfect on paper. I'm going to do this. But then my mind is like, no.
Yeah. And that happens so
Mhm.
often, I feel like, because there's one normal path that
Mhm.
has been pushed onto us by
Yes.
society or taught to us by our parents or just is the most represented, I guess, in the
Mhm.
media or out there in the news. I
Mhm.
don't know. And then not everyone fits that, yeah, that mold. Like we're all unique humans. And as humans, I think we are all innately creative, but it just is a matter
Mhm,
of how much you recognize that and how much you let your creativity
mhm,
flow. And so obviously you are a very creative oriented person.
mhm.
So what was your long-term career goal that was conflicting with your government consulting gig?
I knew that the government consulting was not serving me, but at first, you're like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I am gonna do." Like, you're just sitting there, and I still feel like full transparency, I'm figuring it out as I go, and I think there's some beauty in that because my mom always says you gotta let yourself evolve as a human being,
Oh, I
and I
like
think
that.
our careers, especially in the creative world, we have more autonomy to let our careers evolve for what
Mhm.
we see fit given how the market is going, given how society changes and looping ourselves into that. For example, with blogging, one of the things I really wanted to do initially was just after Ireland, I just wanted to travel and just go places and write about my experiences and help others curate those experiences for themselves. Now, as somebody who does not have a 9 to 5, I don't feel I am the best person to write about traveling on a 9 to 5 anymore, but I can definitely help you have a wonderful experience that is affordable and accessible luxury and give you those dinner recs. I have so many travel guides. I help people find affordable fashion that makes them feel their best without breaking the bank. And honestly, at first it was I just want to travel and write about it. And now it's I want to help people feel their best. I want to bring together communities. And I feel like every day I'm learning something new and evolving. And it's not a one size fits all. This is my end goal. This is where we're going. I watch a lot of career coaches and counselors on YouTube. And the big consensus I'm getting, which I think is so beautiful, is we're not going up the career ladder. When I was at government consulting, I'm like, initially, like a year in, I'm like, I want to be a government VP and help and mentor all these people. And now I'm like, I can do that more as a creative by creating communities. As we all know, communities are such a great way to bring people together because people need that. And
Mhm.
people don't want that in their 9 to 5,
Yeah.
especially the way 9 to 5s are with, like, you're there to do a job, people show up, they, interact with their coworkers, but that's a professional relationship 9 times out of 10 and a little less of a personal relationship. Like, obviously, your coworkers may know, like, "Oh, you have a dog," or your brother got married, for example, and little things like that that you may say in passing. But you don't owe your coworkers anything, but your community is where you can show up as your authentic self, and I think there's a lot of beauty in that and a lot of cool things with that. So that's my long-winded answer.
And that is a good distinction there. I never really thought about it too deep. Like I was always the person in my 9 to 5 that I think in general, I'm just a person that wants to know the human
Mhm,
more. Like we're all
mhm,
human. And like I can't just show up to a
yep,
work call and like
mhm,
start immediately on the deliverables or the
mhm,
work or
mhm,
whatever. I'm like, hey, how are you? How's your day going? How's your dog? You know, I like to get to know
mhm,
and the people that I'm working with, I think as humans,
mhm,
we're naturally like social creatures and we
mhm,
crave relationships with others
mhm,
in all different aspects of our lives and community and belonging. I even like took on side gigs in my government consulting work, the volunteer roles of like
yep,
team bonding lead, team culture helper, whatever it was, like
yep,
building like team culture and planning events, like
mhm,
social events for my
me,
team. And like,
mhm,
obviously, I think that really helps a team like get to know each
mhm,
other and then build trust and then work better. And
mhm,
actually, like, I think it
yep,
increases the success and the quality of the work products.
mhm,
But not everyone is there to do that. Some people,
yep,
they just show up and then they go home and they're like, this is my job. I'm keeping my personal life like very separate,
mhm,
like whatever. And I
mhm,
respect that. Like everyone's different.
yep,
But you're right. When leaving that environment, that's like typically programmed to be like, okay, I show up, I'm my professional self for X
mhm,
amount of hours in the day. And then after it's done, I go home and I keep like my personal life to myself, like separate. That's not where people are being authentically themselves. They're being authentically themselves in their personal lives, in their own
mhm,
time, in their whatever sports
Mhm.
that they're involved in, or communities that they're involved in, or book clubs, or whatever they're
Yep.
doing, right, in their free time. So that's a really good distinction. I want to talk logistics because I know a lot of
Mhm.
people in my audience, their values are not aligned with
Yep.
their current full-time jobs, and they struggle with, like, should I stay? Should I leave? But leaving is scary, it's risky. I want to talk about logistics because you and I are on the other side now. And so we have this experience that we could share and other people can learn
Mhm.
from. And so between your Ireland trip in 2024 and leaving your job in 2026, what were you doing behind the scenes to prepare yourself for the leap?
Honestly, 2024 was such a mind spiral because I knew I wanted to leave, but I didn't know how. And just
Hmm.
sitting with that fear was one of like the toughest times. But I knew I wanted to leave. It wasn't until I went to Spain and Portugal and things were happening in our government with government contracts getting cut that I knew that, hey, maybe this is a sign that I should start looking at my finances and see how I can prepare. So I started preparing. I've built up savings, which in this economy, it can be tough to do. One of the best ways to build up savings is for me, I started growing my affiliate income as a blogger and really
Oh,
taking
interesting.
that as monetization. And I've actually, between even this past month, March and April, my salary tripled monthly, which was really
Wow.
exciting. And I'm
Congrats.
very proud of that and just keeping going. I think having savings and doing side gigs, whether that be starting on a creator journey or even just like as cheesy as it sounds, doing DoorDash, Uber Eats, if you're comfortable with that, or Instacart. I also have sold clothes in my Poshmark closet.
Yep. I've sold clothes more so on Facebook Marketplace, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah, just pick a place, an avenue to sell things, or even just like side gigs. I know a blogger that I really admire who quit in 2015 due to a similar journey to me. I was reading her Substack. She actually worked as a bartender and put extra shifts right after she quit just to focus on our blog and then just generate that income. So I also think being able to navigate health insurance marketplaces through healthcare.gov is golden. If you
Hmm.
are a single woman, I worked in healthcare in government contracting, so I feel very fortunate that I was very familiar with that system, but
Mm.
not everybody is. So asking a friend, family member who may know more about health insurance would be really helpful just to navigate that. I highly recommend you have health insurance solidified before you leave. And then obviously if you have a okay, look into rolling over. I'm not a financial expert by any means, but there are incredible people out there who can help you, whether it be a financial advisor, a friend, a family member.
Yes, that is key. So, yes, I'm relating. All of that stuff I did as well, prepping a good buffer in my
Mhm,
savings and then researching the DC Health Link because I'm a DC
mhm,
citizen, researching how to roll over my 401k into an IRA.
mhm,
Which institution should I go with? Like all of that before I left because that transition can be really tough and you want to have that continuous coverage and you want to be able to meet the deadline. You don't want to wait too late to roll over your
mhm,
401k because there's specific
mhm.
like timelines that come with that. But interesting that you grew your savings primarily, if I'm understanding correctly, from building your affiliate marketing income.
Yep, and through my job, but mostly through affiliate marketing.
That's awesome. I could learn. I'm not really making, I made like a couple bucks, let's say,
Mhm,
from affiliate marketing my whole life.
mhm.
So I could really learn a lot from you in terms of that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably a whole separate
Yes,
conversation podcast,
yes.
or maybe it'll be a future episode. If you guys, the audience,
Mhm,
wants, you can email hello@thenakedtruthwithlauren.com and request if you want Katie to come back and talk more about affiliate marketing if you're into the creator journey. Okay, I actually hate sweating when I sleep, and I'm a hot sleeper. Cozy Earth solved this problem with its bamboo sheet set, which provides cooling comfort and unparalleled softness. And I got you 21% off. Just use my code TRUTH at checkout at cozyearth.com. If you use code TRUTH, TRUTH, you'll get 21% off. And if you forget, use the link in the show notes for all the details. Apparently, Oprah has included Cozy Earth on her favorite things list for 7 consecutive years, so you know it's got to be good. More Labs Morning Recovery is the #1 alcohol recovery supplement that helps you wake up clear headed and refreshed. It comes in handy whether you've had a late night out, a long work day, or just need a boost. Their clinically proven formula is powered by DHM, which is a plant based ingredient that helps the liver process toxins efficiently, fights fatigue, and reduces sluggishness. Enjoy 25% off with promo code NAKED at morelabs.com. It's promo code NAKED, NAKED, at morelabs.com for 25% off, or use the link in the show notes. But yeah, in terms of savings, did you have a specific savings goal that you needed to hit before you felt safe leaving your corporate job?
I 1000% did. And I was very proud that I made that. I also know that when it comes to savings, that I wanted to prioritize travel in that
Mm.
milestone because that is something I really value and love to do. And I do think with like a savings milestone, you need to reflect your bills, how much you need to
Mhm.
live to do entertainment. Not saying we're going to go really crazy, but for example, I have a wedding. I'm a bridesmaid in Italy
Oh,
in
wow.
June, so making sure I had enough set aside for that trip. Now, that was a year out, and making sure that I was able to be there and be present with buffer savings, so just outlining what you have in the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Did you do it by assessing your bills and like your goals, including travel and trips coming up, and then building 6 months worth
Well,
of living expenses or more than that? Or did you do a
no,
specific number?
I did a specific number surrounding my goals and what was going on within those 6 months. I just acted like I wasn't making any income because 'cause I'm very much a better safe than sorry person, and I think for anybody else, just to have the extra buffer so that when you do get that income, it's exciting and you can put it towards things. Something I'll be navigating this next year is taxes as an entrepreneur, which as a former math major, I'm oddly enough kind of excited about.
Oh, wow.
But we all know that many people are not.
Yeah, I feel like that's very niche.
Yes.
So we're touching a little bit on the unglamorous
Mhm,
side, the logistical hurdles that you have to solve that people don't tell you about when you quit
mhm.
your 9 to 5, which I think is the meat of what everyone wants to know. What are some of the other logistical hurdles, or can you dig
Oh,
deeper into the ones you're talking about that people do not tell you about when you're trying to quit your
I
9 to 5?
think another big one, besides the logistical, financial, and navigating it yourself, is other people's reactions. Like
Oh,
family, all my friends were very supportive. They were like, "Thank God you're leaving. You've been miserable." But
oh, that's
sometimes
awesome.
family members, especially as much as we love them and know that they love us and want to support us, they see the world very differently. And they lived in a different world, and it can be very tough for some of them to grasp that you may not have a 9 to 5 because that's what they did and that's all they knew. And that's what
Mhm.
everybody did at that time. So I think the family reactions can be tough. Even just when I decided I was putting in my 2 weeks dealing with those, not dealing, but just like having coworkers message you, and I didn't tell all of my coworkers what I was doing. They knew I was leaving, but I didn't tell them I'm focusing on my business. I just didn't want to tell everybody.
Did you think like some would not support you?
I think it was that. I had a weird experience leaving. I knew that I was not necessarily wanting to tell everybody because I knew
Okay.
it would become a big gossip train,
Mm.
and I just did not wanna deal with that.
That's fair. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, how did you handle the conversation, let's say, with your parents when
Mhm.
you decided to leave this quote unquote stable corporate career path for the creative world?
I honestly was terrified to tell them. I processed it a lot in therapy. My granddad, who I live with, knew and been
Okay.
supportive. I know he's a little bit, like, nervous about it just because it's different, but he's supportive. My aunt is very supportive. She wishes she did content creation back in the day and knows a lot about the field, My parents, for them, they are amazing people who just have thrived in the 9 to 5 setting, and they're very Gen X in that way. That's
Mhm.
just what they've done, and they're coming around, but it definitely was a shock.
Mm. So right away, were they like, "Oh, no, Katie, you should
Yeah.
stay."
Yep, they even sat me down and wanted me to take back my 2 weeks notice,
Oh,
and I'm like, "No,
oh
no,
my God.
no," but they're coming around. At the end of the day, I was talking with my dad a few weeks ago, and he was like, "I just want you guys happy."
Yeah, that's good.
So, it just I think we need to give people time and grace.
Yeah. And also, you just left in January, and
Yep.
it is when as of today, when we're recording, this will be a little while before the episode comes out, but it's in May. So it's only been like 4 months.
Mhm.
How far in advance did you tell them before
I
you put in
told
your
them
2
when I put in my 2 weeks, like, the day I put it in,
Oh my God.
I was just like I knew it would be tough on them, and I was just like, I would rather once it's said and done, they can know.
Okay. Wow. That's big. That's not a lot of time for them to process. I can understand the shock.
Mhm,
And it makes sense, like, everyone handles it differently. I was also very scared to tell my parents. They are well, I think they're awesome, like, I love them,
mhm,
they're very supportive, and they are more traditional. However, my dad is an entrepreneur and has been an
mhm,
entrepreneur for a while, but it's a little bit different, he works in real estate. But, like, before then, he worked at NSA, and my
mhm,
mom worked at NSA for her entire career. She, like, started working there right outside of college and then worked there in different roles through until
mhm.
she retired. So that was more of, I think, the typical, what
Yep.
is it, Gen X baby boomer type career. And my dad worked there for a little bit and then he decided the 9 to 5 government
Mhm,
career life wasn't for him. And then he left and took a risk and got his real estate license and did that. And they've both been extremely successful in
mhm.
their careers. And I think they just want me to be
Yep.
safe and want me to be
Mhm,
financially stable and also want me to be happy. I definitely figured out a lot of logistics and whatnot in my head and
mhm.
like made some steps behind the scenes before
Yep.
I told them.
Mhm,
But I told them, I think, a decent amount of time before I put in my 2 weeks, or I put in my 2 weeks of in end of
mhm,
January of 2025. We went to my aunt's house in Rhode Island for
mhm.
Thanksgiving to celebrate with that side of the family. Or, like when you don't see
Mm,
family often, they're asking you the basic
yep.
questions like, how's your job? Blah, blah, blah. And I had had this plan in my head, but I had not said it out loud to anyone.
Mhm,
And then it was shortly after that. I think it was probably December. So maybe I gave him like a month before I put in my 2 weeks. I was like, dude, I gotta just do this and get it out of the way.
mhm,
I can't be like keeping secrets. This is a
mhm,
big life and career decision. I'm close with my family. I desire their
mhm,
support. I don't know if they're going to be supportive. Either way, I would locked in enough in my brain at that point and had also processed in therapy as I'm continually in therapy.
mhm,
And so have done like a majority of the work where I was secure in my decision. But I did want to give them a little bit of time before I like just up and left to kind of process because I know from previous tough conversations I've had that they need some time to process, as does everyone, as
mhm,
I'm learning more and more to be patient because I'm not the most patient. But yeah, they were shocked. I walked through the conversation with my therapist before and kind of like asked for advice on how to
mhm,
phrase it. And I think I explicitly said, please reserve your projections of fear. And what I'm looking for right now is your support. Something along those lines where I
mhm,
kind of instructed them how to act. I don't know if that's good or bad. I was like talking to my therapist about this and did plan with her. So it was beneficial for my mental health and what I needed at the time. And they were really good about being reserved and not showing
mhm,
their outrage or like crazy surprise, like emotionally at that time. And I was very grateful for that. they didn't fully understand
Mhm,
and weren't like fully behind the decision because it just seemed like
mhm.
I had this great career, right? That was
Yep.
stable, that
Mhm,
I had a six-figure salary and good benefits and health insurance and all this stuff that would be risky, you know? I've been doing Rover on the side, so I've been having little side gigs, but like
mhm,
I hadn't been making income from the business. The first time I ever made a dollar from my business was January of 2025, a couple weeks
mhm,
before I quit. And it was not that much. And it was literally to build confidence to leave
mhm,
my job. So it was more risky in that, like, this is a brand new business. Are
mhm,
you sure you want to do it now? There's no income, like proof
mhm,
that you're going to be successful. And so I remember my mom saying, well, what if you just stayed? Because like Deloitte's bonus cycle and like raise
mhm.
cycle is in June, you would get the bonus and cost of living increase or whatever. And so she was like, what if you just stayed till June of this year, right? You have more time to plan and like build out the business on the side. You get this big chunk of money and you leave. I could, but at that point, I was so done. I had been
Yep,
thinking about this and planning for over a year and a half. I was just like, no, I know what I want and I want to do it now. And
yep.
I don't have the stamina to continue for X number of months.
I completely feel that. Once you reach your breaking point, you're like, "I'm done."
Yeah, there's no convincing me otherwise.
Mhm,
Yeah, that's really interesting. The difference in the timeline which we
mhm.
told our parents. I'm wondering, what about your boss? How did you handle that conversation?
So that was interesting. I honestly just sent an email and
Oh,
they asked me to stay longer. That was like I put in my 2 weeks with not my boss, but it was indirectly through a boss. They were nice about it, but I didn't tell them where I was going. 'Cause I honestly just reported to this person and we never really talked. It was like professional. And when I mentioned my side business, I would always be brushed off in conversation. I talked to my friend in HR and I'm like, I just don't think I want to tell these people what I'm doing. They can
yeah.
just figure it out. Only
Mhm.
the people I really knew more on a personal level, I really told.
That's fair. Not everyone needs to know. Like when you already have a lot on your plate and on your mind, you don't need that extra
No.
stress to deal with unsupportive reactions. And that sucks. I'm sorry that you didn't have the closest working relationship with your boss because it does really matter who you directly
No.
report to. A lot of people's happiness based on research
Yes.
in their job and like on their team is based off of their relationship with like, their boss or their direct
Mhm.
report. I understand more why you weren't vibing with your 9 to 5 because that can really
Mhm.
taint your
Yeah.
experience. And I've definitely had a lot of different bosses in consulting,
True.
switching projects and
True.
stuff.
Me
I can relate to not being as close, but, unfortunately, at the time that I was gonna leave, I was really close
yeah, yeah.
with my
Mhm.
boss. I think I gave him maybe 1 week ahead of everyone else, like 1 week before I put my 2 weeks in, but
Yeah.
I, like, literally didn't tell anyone at work,
Yep.
and my reasoning was different. I had a good team and a good
Mhm,
supportive boss that I didn't wanna let people down, and our team wasn't that big, and we were all doing, like, a lot of work, so
mhm.
I didn't wanna add stress to his plate. Like, I truly care about him,
Yep.
and he continues to be a mentor of mine and very supportive. And so I was scared that I wouldn't receive support for that
Mhm,
reason. And it was crazy because the reaction was the exact opposite of what I
mhm.
thought it would be. He celebrated,
Oh,
he knew what I was doing
yeah.
on the side. Not many people knew, but he knew. I've been talking to him about my business and podcast and whatever ecosystem I was building out
Mhm,
for a little while because he is also an entrepreneur
mhm.
and had his own ventures before joining
Ooh,
Deloitte.
yeah.
So he came from that world. So
Mhm,
he had a lot of advice to share.
mhm.
And so we would have check ins and we would check in about our Deloitte work, but he would actually go so far as to be like, okay, like, I don't care about that. How's your business go? Like, how's the podcast? Like, he would
Aw.
like want to know more about that. I think he had encouraged me, like, you're going to go full time. Like, you're going to go far.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to see you take this and run with it, eventually leave Deloitte. When I said, I'm going to leave now, he was like, "Yes, Lauren, let's go." Like, he literally was like, "Let's go." And I was like, "Really?"
So cute. So it's kind of interesting. I did have multiple bosses over the course, and one of my bosses had the sweetest reaction. She was the only one I told because she asked, and I knew that I could trust her. It was an all women led team, and she was a woman
I love
manager.
that.
And she was like, entrepreneurship, yes. And she said in my last check in call with the entire team, this is a sign that we can all take time for ourselves to go after our dreams.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
so sweet. I know this is a safe, supportive place.
I'm glad you had that place. You need that
You
place.
do.
It is crucial. And that is so sweet. I love how she made it a lesson for the rest of the
Yes.
team.
Mhm.
Really good management
Yeah.
and leadership support you as a person and your goals and your
Mhm.
career growth, no matter what that looks like, regardless of where you are and what you're working on. So that's awesome. Okay, let's get more into where you're at now. So I
Mhm.
mentioned a lot of my audience struggles with working jobs that aren't aligned with their personal
Mhm.
values. And I know that you resonate with this from your old career. And I'm wondering, how did you align your new work with your personal values?
So, one of my biggest values is authenticity. And like you with the working world, I really value being authentic and sharing about my personal and professional life with people. I like having friends in work. I like having friends I can bounce ideas off of. And for me, I think the shift was with my blog. I knew that I was doing something that was authentic to me. This is my brand. This is not anybody else's brand. And I know for me with entrepreneurship, and I know everybody's different, I wasn't super interested in working on a goal that was somebody else's dream.
Mm.
I wanted to work on my dream. And I've had these conversations with friends. I have a friend who loves the 9 to 5. She loves just clocking in, doing her tasks that people assign and leave. And for me, I like to have that autonomy. And I really value knowing what I'm getting and what I'm putting into. But I think the biggest thing for me is helping others
Mm.
and helping empower others, whether it be businesses, people who are listeners of this podcast, The Naked Truth, and just being able to give back and pay it forward is something that's really big. As mentioned in my intro, I'm launching DC Preppies, which is a community for local preppy fashion based enthusiasts. And I'm going to bring together companies and people, and we're going to do some resale clothing pop-ups. And one of the things I want to do is give back to a local charity each month, with about 5% of the proceeds going to a local charity in the DC area, and it'll switch each month. But I'm really excited, and that's something that's authentic to me, is I love just giving back to others and being authentic in myself, but also thanking those and paying it forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think a lot of people go into entrepreneurship or running businesses
Mhm,
themselves to pay it forward and help
mhm,
others. And I think, honestly, I think that's kind of what we're built to do as humans, like be in service of others, or you're told, like, find your gift and then share it with the world.
mhm.
So it's really cool that you took ownership over that and
Oh,
took the leap to align your career and your professional endeavors with your values. And also, authenticity is one of my
mhm,
core values and pillars of my business. So, very relatable. Now that you're a full time creative, though, I'm wondering, and I know it's only been a couple of months,
mhm.
but so far, what does your work life balance look like compared to when you were in government consulting?
So it's kind of an adjustment because I'm so used to doing something else, like government consulting and then the blog on the side. By habit, I'm sometimes more productive at nights and on weekends. And I think that's because I'm so used to doing my blog work at nights and on weekends. It's like a weird adjustment. I feel lighter,
That's good.
and it's something I'm learning. Full transparency, I still feel like I'm knocking down a system of trying to get into doing things in the 9 to 5 way, but sometimes I'll find myself just like working on something as I'm watching a show in the evening, because I'm realizing I'm more productive at night, and there's beauty in doing things when we're more productive at certain times.
Would you say you're working less hours now than before?
Oh, yeah.
That's really cool.
I do think that I had to recover for like a good 6 weeks, just be on the couch doing things on my phone or publishing blog posts, but I also feel like I was sleeping a lot because I was just so tired.
Yeah. Well, you need that. I'm proud of you. I don't know if it's hard for you like it is for me. It's very hard for me to not measure my worth on my productivity. And it's something I'm trying to unlearn. And so I'm proud of you for taking that time because really, it's
Mhm,
really important
mhm,
to protect your mental health,
mhm,
protect your
mhm,
peace and your overall well being. And like take that time to invest in yourself and do self care activities and rest and recover from the burnout because burnout is so real. Okay, so you're working less hours. It's actually funny and ironic because I realize I'm working more hours, I think,
mhm,
than I worked at Deloitte. I feel like I'm doing entrepreneurship wrong sometimes. I'm also trying to figure out when I'm most productive, and I
mhm,
don't 100% know that. I know that I have a lot of focus and energy in the morning, so I try to
mhm,
bang work out then. But I've been trying to, like, when I first left my 9 to 5, I was really following a 9 to 5 schedule. And then it creeped into weekends as well
mhm.
and evenings. And then I was like overworking. And
Yep.
then I hit burnout in January because I was working myself to the ground. Like, I was working way more hours. And I just feel a lot of pressure as a solopreneur
Mhm,
to do, especially since I'm at the beginning stages and I'm not making a lot of income. And like, I only have so much of a financial buffer and I need to live and support myself.
mhm,
I feel this constant pressure to be working
mhm,
and respond to emails ASAP and keep up
mhm,
with posting content, as you
mhm.
know, and the podcast. And then I feel like I'm just doing the most right now. Like I'm running workshops and I was doing
Yep.
coaching and whatnot, like hired a business coach in the fall to help me focus and really try to prioritize which revenue stream
Mhm,
is the best for me at this time and help me like grow and scale the business. And that's been an awesome educational journey to go on and like consistently a work in
mhm,
progress. I feel like I am also learning new things
mhm,
every day. And I think entrepreneurship will humble you like
yeah,
anyone
mhm,
in that way. I also think that's cool because I really like learning new things, but it's also very hard.
mhm, mhm.
But it's really just like it's all just figure outable. And
Yep.
if you have that mindset, I think you will thrive being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur.
Do you think that we have to listen to our bodies? And when our bodies say, "Hey, I'm done," we have to try to shut it off, but that's easier said than done.
I feel like in America, we don't
Mhm,
really do that. So it is a lot of
mhm.
learning.
A lot.
To wrap us up, I want to know what is your best advice for the woman listening right now who has a side hustle, but she is scared of the financial risk of going full time?
My biggest advice is breathe, take a deep breath. You'll figure it out. It'll happen. There's a reason we have dreams. The universe gives us dreams for a reason. And if you have a dream, there's no reason you can't build off of it. There's a reason it's there. And take the time to figure it out. See a therapist if you're able to. Talk to a supportive friend or family member and take that time for you. Don't just impulsively quit.
Yeah,
Take that
that's big.
time and give yourself space and grace to feel all the emotions. And you got this.
Hey, that was such good advice. It seems so simple, but it's not. And a lot of people need that reminder. So thank you for sharing. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for being open and honest and vulnerable. Katie, I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Let my listeners know how they can connect with you, socials, websites, services, etc.
So my Instagram is the Pink Chickadee, and my website is also the Pink Chickadee. Chickadee is like the bird, the black cap chickadee. That's what it's named after. And I have my email in my Instagram bio and on my website, and creative services will be coming soon. DC Preppies is on Instagram at DC Preppies. Everything can be found on the Pink Chickadee's Instagram and website.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And I'll include everything in the show notes too. Thanks for listening to The Naked Truth with Lauren. If you like the show, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review it on whatever platform you're listening or watching. It helps other women just like you to find the show. And if you have a friend who needs to hear this episode, share it with them. If you want to hear more from me, sign up for my community gratitude practice newsletter at thenakedtruthwithlauren.com. You'll receive a quick dose of gratitude every week to help shift your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful in your life. And you can follow along on Instagram at thenakedtruth.pod for more inspiring content. Catch you on the next episode.